The monthly payment for a $400,000 home now is the same as a $600,000 home 3 years ago. Affordability is an issue that most home buyers are struggling with in this current market. When will home prices be affordable again? Let's go over a few scenarios that could lead to more affordable home prices. The first scenario is interest rates going down. The Mortgage Broker Association is predicting rates will go down to 4.9% by the fourth quarter of 2024. Now, I have some doubts that this will happen, but in a market that's so unpredictable, you really never know. My thought is that the Federal Reserve is still fighting inflation and they still have a good way to go until they get to their goal of 2%. Inflation is currently at 3.18%. As a comparison, it was at a 40-year high of 9.1% in June of 2022. That's when the Federal Reserve started aggressively raising interest rates, which really cooled the housing market. Now, you might be thinking that 1% away from their goal doesn't seem too bad, and it's not, especially when you think of where we were a year ago. But I kind of look at it like weight loss. If you've ever tried to lose a bunch of weight, those last 5 or 10 pounds can be the toughest to lose. And I think the Federal Reserve is going to find that lowering the inflation rate to 2% from its current rate, it's going to be difficult. This is just my opinion, of course, so who knows? I do see a problem with interest rates going down significantly in a year. You would think people would start buying houses again and that we'll be back to bidding wars of 2020 and 2021. And really, some markets are still hot and having bidding wars even though the interest rate is near 7%. So I think that if interest rates go down, the home prices will go up. And then I think the Federal Reserve will be concerned about inflation again and may raise interest rates in that scenario. Now, just a note here, I do realize that there are many other factors involved with the inflation than just the housing market, but it's a big part of the equation. Let's say the Mortgage Broker Association is right and the rates go down to 4.9% by the end of 2024. This will make homes more affordable for people and would be good news for a lot of buyers, assuming that the home prices don't rapidly increase, of course. So if this were to happen, what some buyers might consider doing is if they see that interest rates start going down, maybe it makes sense to buy at around 5.5% interest rate, then refinance a couple of years later if the interest rates are going to continue to go down. If you buy a home before interest rates get really low, you could avoid a buying frenzy and the home prices going up significantly. Now, I have a lot of reservations about that strategy. What I try to instill into my clients is assume that the interest rates aren't going to go down. If you buy at whatever interest rate, 7% or 5%, whatever it is, can you maintain that monthly mortgage payment long term? I don't think it's wise to get locked into a high interest rate where you have doubts that you're going to be able to keep on paying that monthly mortgage payment long term. Basically, don't assume anything in the housing market. It's so unpredictable. The bottom line is homes will be more affordable when the interest rates go down. My best guess is interest rates may not go down to 4 or 5% for another 2 or 3 years, and it could take longer. The days of 3% or lower interest rates, well, those days could be long gone, and again, it's just a guess. The second scenario is home prices going down. Now, of course, real estate is hyper-local. I know there are some parts of the country where home prices are starting to decrease already, and some where the home prices are still going up. And then there are other parts of the country where the prices are starting to stabilize. Predictions on the housing prices in the next few years are pretty mixed. Some sources are saying that the housing prices will go down, and some say it will continue to rise, maybe not at the rate we saw a couple of years ago, of course, which is good news. So if home prices do go down, that could make housing more affordable for some people. My best guess is housing prices aren't going to drop down as much as the housing crisis we had in 2008. Now, of course, the economy is pretty unpredictable right now, so there is a possibility where there could be a housing market crash. I wouldn't totally rule it out. As of right now, I don't really see that being the most likely scenario. A major factor that's still driving home prices up is supply and demand. Currently, there's little supply of homes and still a strong demand to buy. This imbalance has continued pushing the prices of homes up. I don't really see a bunch of people all of a sudden trying to sell their home. Most people with lower interest rates on their mortgage feel stuck. They know that if they sell their home and try to buy another one, they're going to get a higher interest rate and their monthly payment is going to go up significantly higher than it is now. New home construction could help with the supply and demand issue. Housing starts have been on the decline for about the past 2 years. I have seen an uptick last month, so we'll see where that ends up going. I'm thinking that with the uncertain economy, builders don't want to overextend themselves and start building a bunch of homes, then be in a bind if there's a market crash and they have problems selling the home, similar to the 2008 housing crisis. Because of these factors, generally speaking, I really don't see the home prices dropping a significant amount anytime soon. So this scenario of home prices going down probably isn't likely in most regions of the US. The third scenario is time. After a cooling off period of the market, homes will be more affordable. Essentially a housing correction, which I think most people agree we're currently in some phase of a housing correction. Also, given enough time, I could see a scenario where home prices go down a little bit, or maybe they stay where they are and they don't appreciate for the next few years. At that point, maybe the economy stabilizes, the housing market stabilizes, and maybe employers can start paying people more and truly have a living wage. Now, you might be thinking that this scenario is just my fantasy or something, which some of that might be true, but I look back to what happened after the 2008 crash. How eventually the economy and housing market stabilized. Now, to be clear, it took about 10 years for the market to correct itself. So it definitely took some people a long time to recover. In this scenario, I'm not sure it would take 10 years for homes to be more affordable again, but it's a possibility for sure. In late 2020, early 2021, I started to tell my clients that if they're going to buy a home, you want to make sure that you're going to live there for at least the next 5 years. My thought was that with the prices of homes rapidly rising, we would kind of be at a stalemate for a while. This is what I mean. Normally, home prices appreciate about 3 to 4% each year. The past few years, we've seen a massive jump in appreciation. So I figured there would be a point where homes would stop appreciating to basically get caught up. Now, back then, I didn't realize how much appreciation there would be and how long it would take to catch up. Now I'm telling people if they're thinking of buying a home, you probably want to make sure that you're going to live there for about 5 to 10 years. So you have enough time to gain equity in the home, and it also gives us a little playing room if prices do decrease a little over the next few years. So which scenario is right, or is it something completely different? Well, of course, no one really knows for sure. I'm thinking it's going to be a combination of these scenarios. I think interest rates will go down. Now, I'm not too sure about it going down to 4.9% by the fourth quarter in 2024. I'm thinking it will stay around 6 to 7% range for at least another year, unless there's some sort of economic collapse or something like that. But I do think given some time, interest rates will stabilize and decrease a bit, maybe down to 5% in the next 2 or 3 years. On top of that, I could see in some areas the home prices going down a little bit, not 20%. I don't think we're going to see massive price drops like in 2008. In other areas, I could see appreciation going back to its normal growth of 3 to 4% a year, or potentially only growing like 1% a year. This will vary by location. Then time. Time heals all wounds, right? I think in the next 5 to 10 years, the economy will stabilize, inflation will be under control. Hopefully employees will start getting paid more. I know some companies have hiring freezes right now and no wage increases. So my thought is those will go away as the economy starts to stabilize more. At that point, I think people will be in a better position where homes become more affordable. Essentially, the economy outgrew our pockets and eventually our pockets will catch up. That's basically what I'm thinking here. But only time will tell when homes will be affordable again. I hope it's soon, but I would prepare for a bumpy ride for the next few years. However, there's still ways to buy a home now. Check out this video about buying a home in a year regardless of market conditions, or this playlist about the home buying process. If you have any real estate questions, my contact information is in the description below. Thanks for watching to the end, especially if you're a subscriber.